I have thoroughly enjoyed myself, and now I am back in my own country. It was June the 18th, 1910, and I was returning to the United States as a private citizen. As private as anyone such as myself could be. I had been travelling across Africa and Europe for 15 months, hunting through Africa with my son Kermit for specimens for the American Museum of Natural History and the Smithsonian Institute. And then, after meeting my wife Edith in Khartoum, we all travelled together to Europe, where I became a sort of unofficial goodwill ambassador, dealing with a completely different kind of wildlife, European heads of state. But after 15 months, it was time to return to my own country. And that morning, surrounded by a small flotilla of naval vessels, we made our way into New York's harbour. There was a flurry of mixed emotions that morning. There was the joy of seeing my sons and daughters again, and the joy of seeing my wife see our sons and daughters again. There was the bittersweet feeling of meeting Ted's new fiancée, and saying goodbye to my son Ted the boy, and welcoming Ted the young man. There were hearty handshakes and adulations from friends and political allies. And the mayor gave a welcoming speech, and after I said a few words, there was a ceremonious parade welcoming me back. Troops of Marines and some of my friends from the Rough Riders led the way, as I waved and shook hands along block after city block in New York. There were thousands cheering in the crowd. Someone cried out, "Our next president," and the roar of the crowd grew even louder. But this was part of my dissatisfaction with my return home. I had left the country in part to give my successor and friend, William Howard Taft, the space to be his own president. But reports of his efforts thus far were far from encouraging. Efforts to continue the antitrust efforts were wanting. Conservation efforts were fallen by the wayside. My own head of the Forest Service, Gifford Pinchot, had been dismissed for daring to report corruption in the Interior Department. I had promised myself and those around me that I would be as silent as a native oyster in my own oyster bay. Even as the cheers and handshakes warmed my spirit, I knew that I would not be able to be silent forever. Eventually, in 1912, Taft would need to be challenged. This day was a rather ceremonious beginning to the end of my silence and a return to the arena.